Okay, hopefully this can be the last section that we have before of review. So problem number 33, I decided to stop here because it is a little bit tougher, but it is a radical equation that we need to solve. And the first thing we're going to want to do is square both sides. So I'm going to square the left and I'm going to square the right. When I square the left, it removes the radical, so that's just 3x plus 14. When I square the right, I actually have to write it down twice, x plus 3 times x plus 3, and I want to multiply that out, and I get x squared plus 6x plus 9. So if I want to solve this, I need to set it equal to 0 and see if it can be factored, and probably cannot. So if I move the 3x over here, it'd be x squared plus 3x, subtract 14, you get minus 5. And there's not any factors of 5 that add up to 3. So this is not factorable. So I could do completing the square, but probably the easiest way to do it is the quadratic formula. X is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a, which is negative 3 plus or minus the square root of, if you do this, that'd be 29 over 2, which would make you think your answer is A. But because this is a square root, and we can use the calculator to check it, the negative one would not work because it would give you a negative underneath the square root. So let me pause this and get the calculator up and I'll show you why it doesn't. Okay, so I went ahead and I typed the left side in Y1 and the right side in Y2. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the table and I'm going to change the table from auto, where it's just going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, to ask, where I can actually type in what I want to check to see if it really works. Then if I go to the table, it's blank. So what I want to check is I want to check, let's see, negative 3 plus the square root of 29 divided by 2, and see if I plug that in, do I get the same thing? And I don't. And then negative 3 minus the square root of 29. I need to put parentheses around that. Negative 3 minus the square root of 29. Actually, the first one should have worked. I wonder if I typed it in wrong. Oh, there's what's happening. I probably did that the first time too. Let me try this again. Negative 3 plus the square root of 29, and then I got to make sure I hit this arrow over, close the parentheses, and then divide by 2. There we go. And I do get the same thing. And then if I tried negative 3 minus the square root of 29, it's probably going to give me an error because you can't have, it would give you a negative underneath this radical. If you were plugging it in, it would give you a negative, the x value, if you plugged it in, it would give you a negative under the radical in your y1 equation. So that won't work. So it just gave me two different answers, I suppose. So because this gave me two different answers, that one doesn't work, but for the negative 3 plus the square root of 29, it worked. So you do want to verify that the answers you get really work when you plug them back in. So my answer here is only B, not A, because they wouldn't both give me equivalent expressions, equivalent results. Okay, number 34, x to the 1/2 power is equal to 5. 1/2 power is the same thing as square root, so the way that I'm going to get rid of the 1/2 power is I'm going to square it. So 1/2 squared would just give me x, and over here 5 squared is 25. If you want to check it in your calculator, try 25 to the 1/2 power and push enter, and you do get 5. So it does check out. Always a good idea to check your answer. Number 35, we want to solve this for t. So I'm first going to look at my denominators and figure out what my LCD is. And I've got an a, an m, and a t. So I'm going to multiply by AMT on all of these terms. So here the a's cancel. So it's just going to be 1 times mt. So that's mt equals. Here the m's cancel. So 1 times at is at. And here the t's cancel. And 1 times am is am. And I'm trying to solve for t. So what I need to do is I need to group all of my t's together. And then I'm going to factor it out, greatest common factor. We talk about that. If I take a t out of both terms, it leaves me with m minus a. So then if I'm trying to solve for t, I would just divide by m minus a. So my answer is t, this cancels. T is equal to AM over M minus A. AM over M minus A, which is C. Number 36. Anytime you have an absolute value, that means that this amount in here has to either equal 6 or negative 6. So 3x plus 5 equals 6, or 3x plus 5 is equal to negative 6. Make sure the absolute value is isolated before you start. So it is. So I set it up to 6 and negative 6, and then solve this. Subtract 5. Get 3x equals 1. Divide by 3. So 1/3 is an answer. And then here, subtract 5 and divide by 3. Get negative 11/3 is an answer. Negative 11/3 and 1/3. So my answer is B. Go back and plug them in. Make sure they work. And on your calculator, if you're trying to find absolute value, it's under Math and go over to Number. And then you can plug it in to make sure that they will really work. All right, number 37. Before I can do this problem, I've got to isolate the absolute value. So the first thing I'm going to do is add 3 and move it to the left, which gives the absolute value of x plus 7 equals 14. So x plus 7 equals 14, and x plus 7, or x plus 7 equals negative 14. Subtract 7, subtract 7, so 7 and negative 21. My answer is B. Again, go back and make sure it really works. Use the absolute value on your calculator. 38. It's an absolute value with a greater than. What happens with a greater than is that I need this expression, 8x minus 9, to be more than 5 away. So that means it's going to either be greater than or equal to 5, or, that should be a 5, or 8x minus 9 would be less than or equal to negative 5. So it's either going to be above 5 or less than negative 5. These are going in opposite directions. So add 9, divide by 8. 14 divided by 8 is, what, 7 over 4? And then add 9. That gives me 4 divided by 8. That's 1/2. So what I'm looking at here is it's either going to be from 7/4, either it's going to be from there on up, or it's going to be from 1/2 and down. And it can equal the point. So it's from negative infinity to 1/2 with a bracket, and then from 7/4 to infinity. So that's B. 39 is a less than, so that's when it's going to be between two numbers. So negative 15 is less than 7x plus 5 is less than 15. And then I just solve this. So subtract 5, which gives me negative 20 is less than 7x is less than 10. Divide by 7. I get negative 20/7 is less than x is less than 10/7. So it's between negative 20/7 and positive 10/7. So we're shading between two numbers on this with open circles. So that's why we've got the parentheses and not the brackets. Last problem, problem number 40. If x plus 5 is greater than 13, that means x plus 5 would have to be greater than 13, or x plus 5 would have to be less than negative 13. Solve it. X is greater than 8, or x is less than negative 18. So we're looking for where it's greater than 8. That'd be here and here. Both of these show greater than 8, but I also need to show less than negative 18. So my answer is going to be D, negative 15, 16, 17, 18. So notice it's a parentheses. That's the less than. If it was less than or equal to, it'd be a bracket. So that's it, 33 through 40. Good luck on your test.